Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Teresa Daly. I am a senior counselor here at Student Financial Services. Today, we're going to be going over funding your education. Please note that this will be recorded and sent to you at a later time. If you do have any questions, please feel free to utilize the question and answer function, as my colleagues would be happy to address any questions you have. So let's get started. So the topics that we're going to be going over today are financial aid resources, loan options, payment options, along with tips and resources. So first off, what is financial aid? It's comprised into three different categories. The first being federal work study. This is based on financial need. Most jobs are worked on campus around the student's class schedule. Students will earn these wages. Please note that the funds are not applied to a student's billing account. There are part-time jobs or undergraduate assistantships that students are able to utilize, and they will gain valuable networking opportunities. In order to qualify for federal work study, you would need to have your FAFSA application on file. And with this, you're earning more than just a degree. It's a great way for a student to start their resume. The next category is gift aid. This can be comprised into scholarships and grants. This is aid that does not need to be paid back. So in terms of scholarships, these can be either awarded through the institution or through an outside resource. Grants can either be institutional as well. Then there are federal grants called the Federal Pell Grant and Federal SEOG Grant. These are determined by your FAFSA application. And then for New York State residents, there's also the New York State TAP application. This is only available to New York State residents, and you must have a FAFSA on file as well before you apply for the New York State TAP application. Then lastly, we have loans. So there are federal education loans that are gotten from the FAFSA. There's alternative and private loans, and then you do have the option for a home equity loan. So when we go to federal loans, students will qualify for a federal Stafford loan. They are also referred to as the subsidized and unsubsidized student loans. Again, students must have their FAFSA application on file in order to qualify for these loans. These will be in the student's name. Subsidized loans, no interest accrues while the student is enrolled at least half time, which is 6 credits per semester. Full-time students are 12 credits. And an unsubsidized loan, the interest does accrue while the student is enrolled. However, neither of these loans need to be paid back until after the student graduates. You are able to make payments while the student is in school, but it is not required. The current interest rate is 2.75%. The new rates will be released for the 2021-2022 year in July. Please note there is a origination fee that is taken out from every loan borrowed. So as of right now, the origination fee is 1.062%. Their qualifications for the subsidized loan is based on your FAFSA application. All students will at least qualify for the unsubsidized portion. The annual borrowing limit for first year dependent undergraduate students is $5,500 gross, and no more than $3,500 of that can be subsidized. These loans will increase as the student goes through school. Sophomores will be eligible for a combination of $6,500 and juniors and seniors for a total of $7,500. There is a 6-month grace period after continuous enrollment ends before any type of repayment for these loans begin. There's also the federal parent loan or Parent Plus loan. Eligible parent borrowers are either biological parents, adoptive parents, or an adoptive step parent. Again, the FAFSA application would need to be on file if you are interested in applying for this loan. The annual limit is the full cost of attendance minus any other aid received, including the student subsidized or unsubsidized student loans. There is no aggregate limit, so you are able to borrow this as long as the student is an undergraduate and a dependent student. Repayment for this loan does begin 60 days after the final disbursement. However, deferment options are available while the student is enrolled half-time, which you can indicate what you would like your deferment to be once you're applying for that application. The current interest rate is fixed at 5.30%. And again, there is an origination fee deducted from every loan borrowed. And for this, you would still need to apply for this loan. So as the parent borrower, you would utilize your FSA ID to apply at studentaid.gov for the application along with a master promissory note. If you do need an endorser for this loan, if you're experiencing any credit issues, an endorser or cosigner may be used for the PLUS loan if it is denied. The endorser is able to complete the endorser addendum at studentaid.gov, and if approved with an endorser, PLUS counseling and a new PLUS master promissory note may be needed. If you have any questions during this process, if you're applying for a loan and going through an endorser, you're able to call 1-800-557-7394 for more information regarding any criteria that they use for the credit check, as well as step-by-step assistance if you do need to use an endorser. There are also private or alternative loans. These loans are typically in the student's name. However, students typically need a credit-worthy cosigner. The annual limit, again, is the full cost of attendance minus other aid received, including federal student, and if you choose to do a federal parent loan as well. Private and alternative loan interest rates are not set by the federal government. Some lenders may require payment of the interest while the student is in school. They will require a credit-worthy cosigner if they're under 24 years of age. Cosigners do not have to be a parent, but are usually required to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. Students typically need to be 18 years or older to apply, and you would be applying directly with the lender or bank if you're using a home equity loan. At the bottom, you'll see finaid.org, which is a great private education source to look at different lenders. Please note Hofstra University does not have its own loan systems, so your loans would be through either a private entity or it would be through the federal government. Payment. So billing due dates for the fall semester, typically the bill due date is the first week of August every year, and the spring semester is the first week of January. If you were looking to utilize a payment plan, we do have a term payment plan that's auto debit or non-auto debit, which I'll be getting into in the upcoming slides. And there are various payment methods. So you are able to pay online through a personal checking account, or you are able to use a credit card, but please note that the credit cards do have a non-refundable service fee as we do use a third-party servicer. You do have the option to mail in a check, and right now you can make a cash payment in person or drop off a check. Please note that if you are making an in-person cash payment, you would need to make an appointment with the bursar's office. So as I mentioned, we do have a monthly payment plan, which is interest-free. This plan you would have to enroll for the fall semester and again for the spring term. Students or authorized users are able to enroll online for the spring and then again in the fall term. You have the non-auto debit option or the auto debit. Auto debit will automatically come out of your payment method that you choose, and non-auto debit means that you're going in to make the payment each time. It's 5 payments per semester. So for the fall term, the payment schedule is June 25th through October 25th. And the spring term payments you would re-enroll again would be November 25th through March 25th. Please note there is an enrollment fee that is due in the beginning of the payment plan once you enroll, once for the spring and once for the fall, but there are no other associated fees or interest with this plan. So just some things to remember. June through August, you want to begin accepting or declining your financial aid on the student portal. You then, if you're utilizing any of the government or FAFSA loans, you want to complete the loan requirements at studentaid.gov. So for your subsidized or unsubsidized student loans, that would be entrance counseling and a master promissory note. For the Parent Plus loan, you want to complete that application and loan agreement at the same website, or you can begin doing private loan applications through the lenders of your choice. You may have to submit documentation for any unsatisfied requirements, such as proof of citizenship, registration with the Selective Service, or verification of income. We also recommend that all students complete the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA, authorization. Once a student is registered, we're unable to communicate any type of account sensitive information unless the student authorizes. So we highly recommend that students do authorize family members to FERPA. Students can also make e-bill users, which would give the authorized user access to the billing site, and they would also get emailed billing statements. We are a paperless billing institution, so all bills will be emailed, and you would be able to sign up for the monthly payment plan through this email address as well. You also want to begin to finalize your payment arrangements during the June through August timeframe, as the fall bill is typically due the first week in August. So by then you want to make sure that you've either enrolled in the monthly payment plan. If you're requesting funds from a 529 institution, please allow 2 weeks for processing. And you do have the option to subscribe to the tuition refund plan, which is tuition insurance. This is just if the student was to fall ill during the semester, you would be able to submit a claim through this insurance plan. It is optional. Once students are accepted, they'll be able to register for classes at new student orientation. You'll begin getting pre-bills in June, and updated bills will be sent 1 to 2 weeks after registering for classes. You also want to make sure that you've submitted your high school's transcripts, the finalized ones, after you graduate, to admissions. And if you are utilizing federal work study, you want to make sure that you've prepared your resume. So to review how families do fill the gap, again, you have your federal Parent Plus loan, which the FAFSA would need to be on file with a fixed 5.3% interest rate, and the student also has their student loans from the FAFSA. We also have alternative loans that do have variable rates, a monthly payment plan, and home equity options. So if you have any questions, please feel free to utilize the chat now. So let's take a look and see what questions we have. So one great question is there initial payment that needs to be made when for acceptance before the fees for the fall? Yes. So once you're accepted and you do want to secure your seat at Hofstra, you would need to submit an enrollment deposit of $550. That would be securing your seat. And then if you are looking to house on campus, you would need to utilize the $300 housing deposit along with housing application. So approximately how much would a single semester cost if I were to live on campus? So that would depend. So basically, if you're looking to live on campus, it's an estimated $16,500 for the year. So it would be about a little over $8,000, but this is variable to change depending on your housing or meal plan options. The cost of attendance before aid for the 2021-2022 academic year is still being finalized. As of right now, it is an estimated $50,000 for tuition and fees. Once you receive your financial aid notification, you will see the estimated cost, but this will be finalized around April. So are there extra scholarship opportunities that we can apply for other than merit scholarships? There are. We do recommend applying for outside scholarships as well. Some great scholarship sites would be fastweb.com or scholarships.com. We also recommend asking your high school guidance counselor if there are any scholarships in your community that you can apply for. Once you have enrolled in Hofstra and you've kind of been here for a year, you can definitely see if there's any departmental scholarships that might be available for you. Would a student have to apply for the federal subsidized and unsubsidized student loans independently? So to answer your question, if you've already submitted the FAFSA, students will automatically be considered for the FAFSA for the subsidized and unsubsidized student loans. So there's no separate application. They would just need to accept it on their student portal if they're interested, and then complete the 2 loan requirements, which would be entrance counseling and a master of promissory note. As a new BSN nursing student, are there any nursing scholarships that I can apply for the fall 2021 semester? I would recommend, if you are accepted into the nursing program, that you contact admissions for any additional opportunities. Are there any additional questions? Last call for questions. How does transferring credits affect the price? Transfer credits doesn't necessarily affect the price. It could just affect what courses that you would need to take. It might satisfy some certain requirements. So I would recommend speaking to admissions regarding any transfer credits or AP scores that you have. So if a parent's financial situation has changed in 2020, how is that reported to the school? So basically, if your financial situation has changed, you do still need to submit the FAFSA with the aid year that they're requesting. I would recommend contacting our office directly, which you will be able to set up appointments through a link once you're admitted with your financial aid award package, and we can go over a reevaluation process to see if you may be eligible for any additional federal aid. And is there any way to lower the tuition or get more scholarships? Again, if you have any questions regarding merit-based scholarships, I would recommend contacting your admissions counselor, as well as applying for outside scholarship opportunities as well. Can we request a professional judgment before accepting aid? You can. Please note that this process, it does take a few days, and we do need documentation. We do recommend to make your decision based off of the federal aid award package that you've been notified with, as the professional judgment might not necessarily, result in a change to aid. So we do recommend you consider all of your options and let us know, so that way we can get you started with that process. If your package includes room and board, but you plan to commute, how do you have that updated? You can email our office, or if you're not submitting a housing deposit, you will only have tuition and fees on your bill. The only way you will have any type of housing charges on your account is if you submit the housing deposit as well as a housing application. You are able to lock in a tuition rate. We will have locked in tuition rate contracts. Please note the locked in tuition rate is typically a little higher than what the tuition and fees is, and we should be having that shortly. All right, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Like I said, this is a recorded presentation, so you will all be getting this emailed to you within the next few weeks. I hope you enjoy the presentation and that you guys have a wonderful day.